Hi, this is Steve. Today I'm going to talk about something a little bit different. I'm going to talk about how to plan to go to a national park. Since I've already gone to 62 of the national parks, this being the last park, I pretty much have my process down as to how to do this. So today I'm going to talk to you about the process of planning the park. First, I start with the basics. Where am I going? How do I get there? Where am I going to stay? And what do I want to see?
So although this planning process works for any of the national parks, I'm currently planning to go to American Samoa, so I will be applying it to that park.
So one of the very first questions I get asked is, where is American Samoa? So I go to Google Maps and look for it. So I found American Samoa. It's in the middle of the ocean. It's near Samoa, but that doesn't really tell me much. So I'm going to take a look at what's close. So when I zoom out, the first real country I see is New Zealand. And what I find is that it's about halfway between Hawaii and Australia. So now that I know where American Samoa is, I'm going to have to fly there. And so I start looking at how to make airplane flights there. So in this case, I like to go to Skyscanner as one of my apps and try and find out what flights I can get. What I find out is that I can't get very easy flights to American Samoa. So I start doing a little bit more research and go to the travel site of American Samoa.
What I find is the only flights from the U.S. are on Hawaiian Air. So I go to the Hawaiian Air website to take a look. I search for flights on the Hawaiian Air website, and what I find is that there are only 3 flights a week, on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Thursdays.
So now that I've figured that I'm going to get there with Hawaiian Air and I have 3 days a week that I can get there, I want to know what time of year I should go. American Samoa is below the equator, so it's in the South Pacific. And I want to look and find out when the best time to visit there, since winter is different down there than it is here. So I go to the website of American Samoa, and in the facts they have a thing that asks, what is the best time to visit the park? And it says the park can be visited year-round. The dry season is May to October. So initially my thought is I'll go early in the season in May. However, just to narrow it down a little bit more, I decide I'm going to take a look at a climate website. And what I find out is that the lowest rainfall for the entire year is in June. It's only about half of what the rainfall is in May. So I decide instead of May that I'm going to go in June. So now I want to find out where to stay and what things I want to do while I'm there. So I go back to the National Park website, and there's a place for lodging that I go to. And it says that camping is prohibited within the park, but you can stay for a cultural experience. Visitors should consider staying with local families. It's called a homestay program. And I go to things to do and find that there's a bunch of hiking trails to be done, which I like hiking, so I'll probably do some hiking trails. And it's got fishing also, but I'm not much of a fisherman, so it does have snorkeling and diving, which I'm interested in. And it indicates that one of the best spots for snorkeling is Ofu Island. So I think I'll go to Ofu Island. But it says getting to Ofu is challenging. Flights to the neighboring island of Tau are limited, and once there you have to hire a local fisherman to Ofu. To learn about the homestay program and also how to get to Ofu, I decided to give the national park a call, talk to a ranger. However, when I tried to call, I couldn't get a hold of them. So I decided instead that I would email them, given their contact address at their website. So I emailed them and asked them the questions of how to get to Ofu and also about the homestay program. They shortly sent me an email back that said the homestay program was no longer available and that now there were flights available directly to Ofu. They gave me information on a place to stay in Ofu and also about Samoan Airways that would get me there. This does point out, however, one thing of the national parks. The national park websites are not always up to date. If there is any problem, make sure and give them a call to clarify anything that you might have. So now I want to figure out how to get to the island of Ofu. So I go into Google and type in Samoan airline, go into book flights, and say I want to go from Pago over to Ofu sometime in June. And what it shows me is that there are only flights on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So given what I want to do in terms of the trip, I now have figured out that I'm going to leave Hawaii on a Monday, arrive that night, and then Tuesday morning I will fly to Ofu, stay at Ofu until Thursday, when I will fly back to Pago, and then I will stay near Pago until the following Tuesday, when I will fly back to Honolulu. So now that I have an itinerary worked out, I start making reservations. I start with reservations that can be canceled easily or changed without cost. So I start with Hawaiian Airlines, and make reservations starting on the 2nd of June, flying from Honolulu on the 2nd of June to American Samoa, and then coming back on the 10th of June. So now I start looking at hotels. I go to normal websites like Expedia and Kayak to look at hotels, but I don't find anything that really is that pleasing to me. A lot of the comments indicate that the hotels are not that nice. So I decide to try if there's anything in Airbnb. So looking at Airbnb, I find several places that look both cheaper and have really good reviews on them. So I decide to book some locations, some Airbnb locations. So after making my Airbnb reservations, I start to go over to Samoa Air to make reservations. But as I do, I remember that I don't have a place to stay yet in Ofu. So the ranger had given me a place to stay in Ofu, and he had given me a way to contact him through a Facebook site. So I went to the Facebook site, and after looking at it a while, I noticed that there was no action on the Facebook site for about 6 months. But they did have a phone number to call. So I called the phone number to try and talk to him, and what I got was an answering machine. And the answering machine told me that the best way to contact them was to use Gmail. So I sent them an email asking them several questions. So they responded to my email very quickly with some really great information. Stuff about flights that were available and what food was available, including that there was no fresh produce available, that they would let me borrow their truck, they'd pick me up at the airport, and other information like there was no insect repellent and or sunscreen available on the island, so to pick that up beforehand. Additionally, they told me that they only take cash and PayPal, but no credit cards. So they told me they had a room for me. I wrote back confirming that I wanted the room, and then went ahead and made my Samoa Air reservations also. So after the Samoa Air reservations, I decided that I also wanted to rent a car when traveling around near Pago Pago. And so I made rent-a-car reservations also. At this point, I was pretty much finished with all my reservations. I still will do a bunch of research to find the best trails to go on and best places to snorkel and other information that I might want to see in either of the two islands. As part of my additional research, I found a really good website about Ofu, and so I'm going to provide it here. I hope you enjoyed seeing my planning process for the national parks. Thank you for joining me, and I hope you join me for additional adventures.